Hi, and welcome back to another video that I haven't really planned out. I really enjoyed recording last week's video, and I thought maybe I should just do like a little weekly update sort of series, I guess, where I just sit down with my tea or coffee and sort of chat to you about what I've been watching, listening to, reading, what's been happening the past week. So, yeah, I'm going to do that, and we will very quickly find out if my life is interesting enough for that. So I've got my chai tea. It says feeling wicked on the cup, but it's got Disney villains on the other side. My youngest sister Emma bought me this. So I don't know if this is supposed to represent that I'm one of these Disney villains. We're not sure. I would be okay with being the evil queen or Maleficent. I don't want to be Ursula. I don't really resonate with Ursula. And I definitely don't resonate with Cruella de Vil because she hurts puppies. Muka is here again this week. He's pretty tired though. We've just been out big walkies today, so he's probably not going to have much to say on this episode. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about what I've been watching, listening to, reading, what's been happening. So let's start off with what I've been watching because last night I watched a film that I really enjoyed. So last night I watched a film called The Rite starring Anthony Hopkins. And I really like Anthony Hopkins. I think I don't really realise how much I liked him as an actor until recently. The Rite, if you haven't seen it, it is a horror film based on true events. I'll give you a brief synopsis, but if you haven't seen it and you do like horror films, I would definitely recommend you go watch it. But basically, it follows this young American priest or a guy that's like training to be a priest, and he isn't really sure what he believes in anymore. He's kind of lost his faith and he's about to sort of quit the priesthood, I guess. I don't really know what it's called. Um, but his like mentor, for want of a better word, says, well, before you do that, go and do this course in exorcism. And if you still want to leave after that, then that's fine. So he's like, okay. So he goes to Italy to do this course. Through that, he meets Anthony Hopkins' character, who is a priest that performs exorcisms. He's like the go to guy for exorcisms in this particular place. And the story unfolds from there. Obviously, don't want to give too much away, but it is, as I said, it's based on a true story. So as soon as you see that at the start, you're like, okay. I love anything to do with religion. I really love films that are kind of based around like religion and faith. I went to a Catholic primary school, and as much as I'm not Catholic and I don't necessarily subscribe to a religion like that, I find it so interesting. I love hearing about religions. I love learning about religions. So anything that's based around that, I'm interested in. And exorcisms are just fascinating. They seem terrifying to be in the room with if that was happening. Like I don't know if I could stand to stay in the room. And the like American priest really doesn't believe, well, he doesn't really know what he believes, but yeah, he doesn't really believe that exorcism's a thing. Like he believes that, the people that this that Anthony Hopkins character are treating are mentally ill. They're not possessed by the devil. He's totally not on board with that. Which I think is really interesting. I think that should be talked about more because I know that there is like a worry, and like I would certainly worry as well when people are being like exercised. Like what if they're not possessed by anything and they're just unwell? So I think there is a definite concern around things like that, and that's definitely discussed in the film. The other thing I'll say is I thought the effects were really, really good. Like I just thought it was really, really well done. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to like pinpoint exact things, but um if you go watch it, leave me a comment below and we can discuss. But I thought the effects were just so, so good. Matthew watched it with me, and he is not a big horror movie fan at all, but he agreed with me that the effects were really good. I think he only really watched it because I said Anthony Hopkins was in it, if I'm being honest, but he enjoyed it nevertheless. And yeah, I just thought it was really good. I think it's hard to find a good horror film these days. I think a lot of them go into that realm of either being really, really predictable or really ridiculous. And there was one point where I thought that was going to happen. Like there was one scene where I thought, oh, it's just going to overdo it. It's just going to like go over into this realm of just being ridiculous. But it didn't. It didn't. It pulled it back and it was fine. So yeah, we watched that last night and I really enjoyed it. If you've seen it, then leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought because I'd really love to discuss it with people that have seen it. So if you weren't aware, I absolutely love to read, and I've just finished a book. I've got the dust jacket right here for it. So I've just finished A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. She is the woman that wrote The Girl on the Train and Into the Water. This is her third novel, I believe, and it is so, so good. I only have the dust jacket because I lent the actual book to my sister Emma, because my good big sister, she really wanted to read it. So I kept the dust jacket because I didn't want it getting ripped. Not that I'm like precious about my books, but yeah. But I really, really enjoyed this book. If you're a fan of sort of fast paced crime, thriller, whodunit style books, you'll definitely like this one. I love books like that. If they're done well, if they're done badly, they're horrendous. They're like the worst things ever. But if they're done well, they're so, to me, they're so satisfying and I just love it. And I was craving something like that. So that book definitely fulfilled that craving. I don't want to really talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything. I hate when books are even slightly spoiled for me. So, just if you're into that kind of stuff, then I would definitely recommend you go read it. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I've been trying recently to consume a bit more lighter content, which clearly from this video is not working out too well considering I watched a film about exorcism and just read a crime novel. So we're doing well. But the podcast that I'm going to recommend this week is, I mean, I guess the subject matter is dark, but it's handled in a light-hearted way. So does that count? Probably not. Anyway, the podcast is called Was I in a Cult? I've been really enjoying this podcast because I am fascinated with cults. I have been for the longest time. I will listen to any podcast that talks about cults, I will watch any documentaries that's about like I just find them so, so fascinating. They really blow my mind how they work, how people get involved with them, and they're so insidious. Like I think that's the most interesting thing, and I can't remember who said this. It was probably on one of the podcasts or it was on one of these documentaries, but someone said no one intentionally joins a cult. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, I think it's so easy to assume that people that join cults are really stupid or really naive or whatever, but no one intentionally joins a cult. I think you join something, you join some movement or you join some group or business or whatever because it's something you truly believe in. I don't think anyone walks in like, yay, I'm joining a cult. This is going to be amazing. That would be ridiculous. So, yeah, that has really opened my eyes. And that's why I've been loving this podcast because I think if you listen to this podcast, it just really shows you that anyone from any background, any social status can join a cult and not even realize it. And also that things and groups can be cults without us realizing it as well. So their last episode was about a company called LuLaRoe, which is like this American-based company that make these horrendous-looking leggings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. But basically, they are a pyramid scheme. They're a pyramid scheme slash multi-level marketing company or MLM. So again, if you don't know this, pyramid schemes are illegal. Multi-level marketing companies are legal. I'm not sure the exact differences between the two. They seem very similar to me, but one is illegal. Pyramid schemes are illegal. MLMs are legal. So LuLaRoe is an MLM. So anyway, this girl that's in this latest episode or the last episode I listened to of Was I in a Cult is talking about her experience being in LuLaRoe. And when I was listening to it, they mentioned there's also an Amazon Prime documentary called LuLaRich, which I had no idea about. So as soon as I finished the episode, I literally was like, Amazon Prime, watching all these episodes. I think it was only like 4 episodes of the series, but that was really interesting as well. This like cult slash MLM is just so mind-boggling. Like, and it's like the typical pitch that they give to these people. They sell you this dream of, do you want to make more money, work from home, decide your working hours, be your own boss, spend more time with your friends and family and children, and, travel across the world. And they sell you this big, big dream. And who doesn't want that? I mean, genuinely, who doesn't want that? They're really good at like selling you this dream life, this idea, this amazing life that you can have. But obviously, in reality, only like the top people, the people at the top of that pyramid, they're the only people that are living that dream. And even then, the people in the documentary that were, at the top of the pyramid, yeah, they were making a lot of money, but they weren't free and they weren't their own boss. Like, that's the biggest lie, I think, is it's like, oh, you're like starting your own business. No, you're not. No, you're not. There's still people above you that are making commission from you. So you're still reporting to someone. You're not your own boss. Like, but anyway, yeah, even the people like at the top of this pyramid, as much as they were making a lot of money, like to be fair, they were making an insane amount of money. They did not seem happy. They were being controlled, and it sounded like they were not spending a lot of time with their family or being present with their kids or anything like that because they were just constantly like having to come up with ways of making this money and doing all these things. Like it's just bizarre. I mean, the first and biggest red flag is there's like a 5 grand buy-in fee. Like if you want to start your own business and like buy into LuLaRoe, it's like £5,000 and you just get these horrendous leggings that you have to sell. Like, uh, it's just so bizarre. It's so bizarre. But yeah, it happens. And they're not the only ones. Like, I could rhyme off so many MLMs, pyramid schemes, whatever, that I've heard of. I hadn't heard of that one because I don't think they operate in the UK. I think it's an American thing. If you've heard of that, then I would love to discuss it with you. But I would definitely recommend listening to Was I in a Cult, that episode, or just the podcast in general. And the hosts do like tackle these subjects in a light-hearted way, which I quite like because a lot of the content I consume can be pretty heavy. Like I love a good true crime podcast. It can be a lot. So when you've got some hosts that actually make light and have jokes, then it's actually quite refreshing. So I really like it. And on the subject of podcasts, the final thing I want to talk about is as I said in my previous video, I was going to say I'm launching my very first podcast. No, because I already did a podcast. I'm launching a new podcast and I'm really excited about it, but I don't have the name. So if you can think of any good names for my podcast, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what it's going to be about. And if you think of any good names, please leave them in the comments below, or you can find me on Instagram and like send me a message because I need help. It is really difficult coming up with original podcast names that are also easy to remember and that I actually like. But anyway, the podcast is going to be really esoteric. It's going to cover a wide range of topics. Nothing is going to be too weird, basically. No subject is going to be too weird to be discussed on this podcast. So yeah, on the podcast, I'm going to talk about the supernatural. I'm going to talk about dreams, lucid dreaming, parallel universes, aliens, past lives, and the list goes on, as well as lighter things like manifestation, inspiring stories. It's going to cover a wide range of topics, but the main theme is that they're all going to be just a little bit esoteric, a little bit out there, a little bit strange, a little bit out of the ordinary. And aesthetic wise, because I'm big on aesthetics, I shared a story on my Instagram and it was just this picture I found on Canva. I'll insert it somewhere here if I can. But basically it's this pink and blue sky with like little twinkly stars and a big full moon. So that's the kind of vibe I'm going for. So yeah, if you can think of any names, if anything springs to mind, if inspiration strikes you and you can think of a good name for my podcast, then please comment it below or send me a message on Instagram because I have so many topics and so many like episodes that I can think of that I like want to start recording, but I need a name. We need a name. So I'm also going to be filming them and the videos will be up here on this channel as well. That sounds like something you're interested in, then the episodes will be on here as well. But I need a name. So help me, please. Please help me. I'm going to wrap it up here. I've rambled on for long enough. But thank you for sitting down and catching up with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.